Test, test,
Back to the beginning.
Yeah.
test, test. All right, it's 5:30. We're going to call the Parks and Environment Committee to order. Can we have a roll call, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, now a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Chair Force.
I'm here.
Mr. Carney. Not here. Ms. Foney.
Here.
Mr. Hudson. Here. Ms. Stoffel.
Here.
Mr. Newcomb.
Here.
Sir, we have a quorum.
All right, we've all received a copy of the minutes. Can we get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Andrew, that moves us to 3.1.
3.1, and I'll share my screen here in just a second. And okay, so I got the agenda up here. 3.1 is just, we've had some requests for this. We've had some requests for this recently, so we figured it was a light agenda, so we wanted to go ahead and give a concession stand report for the sports park, just so everyone kind of knows how we're doing out there and what we do. So the report is broken down into 3 different categories, and our budget line items have three different categories. So we have a line item for drinks, we have a line item for food, and we have a line item for staffing. So you can see, and this is all of January 1st, 2024 through December of 2024. So this gives us a complete picture of what last year was, and then next year at this time we can give you the 2025 numbers. But anyway, you can see sales of drinks, just almost $270,000 in drinks, almost $380,000 in food. Expenses, we net $195,000 in drinks, $189,000 in food. Our staffing, which is a large part of what we do, we employ about 80 youth out there. Typically, the average age of our seasonal concession employees is probably 16. We have a fair amount of 15-year-olds, a fair amount of 17-year-olds, but yeah, we are an enormous supplier of youth employment here, and so that's $155,000 that you see is strictly just our kids in our community learning how to be employees and working. So totals, $641,000 in sales, about $412,000 in expenses, for a net of $229,000. And for those of you, I want to caution that don't consider that profit. It's not profit. That's just money we use to offset other expenses to the park. When it comes to this report, we didn't factor in things like insurance, and we didn't factor in things like the bonds or anything like that. So I don't want to mislead you that we made $229,000 in profit. That's not it. But those types of things get too difficult to try and quantify in a simple report. So we just say that $229,000 is part of that 30% of our revenue that we use to offset our expenses. So if you can remember my report, in my budget report, I did call out our fees that we utilize to offset our expenses, and that's just part of it. So again, just a simple breakdown. So any questions on that?
Any questions or comments? Committee, Alderman, public? Go ahead, Vern.
I want to thank you for releasing that information, let us know where the money's at and whatever. I know it's not pure profit in regards to the net dollar bill amount, so I guess the money's then put back into the sports park pot to continue on in that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in that staffing, is that also included in there your funds to pay your soccer and baseball referees?
No, this is strictly just staffing to run and sell the foods from the concession stand.
So you have another fund for that monies?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Continuing on with Vine Street Market.
Yep, again, just kind of more updating, have some questions, so I like to keep you guys updated as to how we're doing. This is follows along with our monthly Placer AI report, which is a software we use to capture people who come to our parks or our locations, and so we dragged the information out of Placer AI, and this is an apples and apples comparison from the last 2 years, just so you can see how we're doing, and this is what we can determine more accurate than us just going through every day, every market Saturday with a little counter saying 1, 2, 3. So anyway, you can see on the left-hand column is our attendance for this year, right-hand column is attendance for last year. And as you know, everything in the market is weather-related. I mean, if it's a rainy Saturday, you can be better. We're going to be down from previous years. If it's a sunny Saturday, so really the market is really heavily dependent on a good weather day. But these numbers are similar to last year, and you can see we're a little bit up from last year. So the market is trending well. The first a quarter way through. Maybe 15% of the way through the season. So far, so good. We are up or equal on all weeks. And this is through the 31st.
All right, thanks. Any questions or comments from anybody? All right, take your time. We got 25 minutes to kill here.
I apologize. I am a fast talker. Parks and Rec reports, this is just put out by the Superintendent of Recreation and our Superintendent of Parks, and then it's just a deeper dive into the inner workings of our department, and as you read through those reports, you get some more in-depth knowledge. So, again, nothing that we haven't reported every month. And then finally, the construction update. We got a lot going on, so let's just kind of go through this. First, let's start with the pool. We're finishing up the last few items with the pool, coming to the end of a very long road that started in, I think, January 2022. So 3 years in now with, the end is in sight. The car's almost across the finish line, and they've got some fencing panels to put up yet. Both pools are completely done. We did some training on the pools today. Both pools have water in it. The water is, and the chemicals are all balanced, so the pools are safe to swim in as we speak. So we're finishing up some fence panels and making sure that the pool is enclosed, putting a lot of rock down, landscaping rock, just to satisfy some of the IDPH requirements, and then our inspections for them are this week. So pending successful passage of that inspection, we will get our permit and be able to open on this Saturday, which we're very excited about. Let's see. Again, rock, fencing. What am I forgetting? That's about it, right? Yep. So it's exciting. We have about 35 lifeguards we hired this year. We got about 15 to 20 concession kids, all all youth. We're really excited about our staff this year. We have a good number of lifeguards, probably 15 more than we've had in years past, and I think we're really excited about that number. It's going to give us the ability to have a lot of swim lessons, a lot of access where we haven't in the past. So staff did a good job of recruiting lifeguards this year and getting them trained. So kudos to Kirkwood and Karen. And then the Caven Center, soft opening. For those of you who weren't able to attend, the Chamber After Hours was there on May 20th. It was an excellent event. They did a good job with getting the place decorated and really showcased what the facility could do for trivia nights, for future events. We can see well over 300 people in there and still have plenty of excess room around the edges for auction items or whatever. The kitchen worked out well as far as prepping for caterers. So it was an excellent event, and we couldn't be more proud of how that facility turned out. They were in there today just finishing up some door hardware and just hooking up the access controls for the doors. Again, just a few minor items, painting touch-ups before we mark that one off completely done, but it's It's very close outside of the doors. Our summer camp is in there right now, so we have kids in and out of there. And the word on the street is that they love to be inside playing basketball, so which is not something they've had before. So they're really enjoying having an indoor space to be physically active. So so far, so good on that. And again, we just have some landscaping left to do, and we have some lighting to do, but otherwise the facility is done. The plaza area, which is the area between the Caven Center and the pool, we are doing our final pour on that on Wednesday. So there's a big, huge section of concrete in the center that has to be poured. So they're going to do that Wednesday, and then after Wednesday, the plaza area will be done, and just down to landscaping on that. They're working on the dumpster pad today, so that's almost done. So yeah, as long as the weather holds out this week, we'll be ready for the grand opening on Friday. And incidentally, grand opening Friday, starting at 4:30 with ribbon cutting, and then we'll just go into some OTHS band performances, and then we'll have a band on the stage, we'll have some food trucks, we'll have some, gears out there, bike surgeon and gears out there, just serving some drinks, so it's gonna be a nice event. We are forecasted for some rain, so we'll make that call between 11 and 12 if it's a go, no go. We don't want to set up in the rain and have the band in the rain. So our time to make that determination will be Friday at between 11 and 12, depending on what time the band needs us to make that call. And then if it doesn't go, we'll reschedule the grand opening for later in the month. We have to check a few calendars and make sure that dates are open and we do not have other large events, but it will likely be probably a Wednesday or Thursday later in the month to coincide with some of the events we already have scheduled. So keep your fingers crossed that we can get Friday in, but if not, we're 80% through with a solid backup plan.
And just to clarify, you're doing the ribbon cutting at 4:30 regardless, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay. That's what you told me earlier today.
It's a work in progress. So I talked with Debbie from the chamber and got her thoughts on it based on her experience with doing all the ribbon cuttings in the past. And I think the leading candidate theory as of right now at 5:42 is that since it's only going to be a half hour, we're just going to do it all at once later down the late. But that's part of checking everyone's schedule and making sure, doing our due diligence to make sure that everyone's going to be available at our rescheduled date. So stay tuned. Okay, moving on here. Hesse Park Pickleball Courts has some questions on the windscreen, so did a lot of checking on that this week. Windscreens for the pickleball courts, they've been ordered. Were installed today. The issue with some of the long lead times and delays is the clips. We have to order special clips. We can't put them on with, we can't put those pickleball windscreens on with zip ties because they dry rot in the sun, and you can't use metal ties because if you use the metal ones, when the wind's so strong, it'll actually pull the fence away from the bar. So we have these special clips that we use. They're a little harder to get and have a little bit of longer lead time. And then also we have custom sizes, because if we don't custom size the windscreens to the dimensions of the posts, then what will happen is the windscreens will overlap and you can't cut them because they'll have grommets in them. So it's a little bit more problematic to get it to work. So we do have to order custom sizes. And then also, because the wind is so strong and tends to take those out, I think we've ordered 3 sets of windscreens in the last 6 months. So we're trying to be strategic on when we place them, and then when we put them out. We don't like to put them out in the middle of winter because we know a lot of people aren't playing, and with the winds, they just get degraded extra quick in the winter. So it's kind of a game we play to try and figure out when can we put them up that we get the maximum amount of usage out of them without them getting torn, ripped, or people will cut slats in them to let the wind blow through them, but then when they do that, they start to fray and then they come apart. So we don't have a real good solution. I think some of the discussions is potentially putting slats into the fencing like we have at Blazer Field to alleviate that, but that's time-consuming, labor-intensive to do that. So again, it's an ever-evolving situation that we deal with on a daily basis, but that's where we're at with the windscreens. And then finally, the parking lot, since we're doing some construction updates, you signed off on the engineering agreement about a month ago. He's been busy getting the plans together. He sent me some different revisions on what the layout's going to look like, cost estimate. So we're halfway through the engineering plans, looking to go out to bid on those plans towards the end of the month. And then we would, have the bid opening, and this would be at either the awarded bid would be at our Parks and Environment meeting starting in August, or potentially, if we want to get done earlier, we might go to the Public Works meeting and have the discussion at the Public Works meeting. I have a vacation in July, so there'll be no meeting next month. So we're trying to play around with that, but just to keep you in the loop, that's where we're at with the parking lot plans, design, and engineering here in the next 15 to 17 days, and then awarding the bid and going to a meeting in late July. Okay. And before we take any questions, just want to bring up a couple of the reports. This is the ongoing report. You can see budget-wise, this will probably be the last one you get because the project will be done after this. We're right on pace. We're not going to go over budget at this point. There's nothing really left to send us over budget, knock on wood. So when you study this report or when you look at it, just know that this is likely your final one, and then just the final report on any final numbers. And then we had a professional photographer come out and take these pictures, Walter. So a couple of pictures that we got from the pool, panoramic, high quality photography right there. You can see the lap lanes, the diving board. It's a 1 meter board. So yeah, the pool's looking really good. Okay, I think that's everything. Anybody have any questions?
I do have one. The bathrooms, for Saturday, I got a message that the cave-in centers were locked. Are those, then they had to use the one in the middle of the park, so are those going to be open now, or should be open
Yep.
for Saturday mornings?
The ones on the Cayman Center?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's part of the access control that we're doing. So those bathrooms can be locked and unlocked with a key, but they can't be unlocked until we have our access control. And so they'll be on a timer. So come 5 a.m., the doors will unlock. People can come in and out freely, and then at 10 o'clock, they'll automatically lock, and then doors will be locked. But as of right now, the way they have the system set up is the only way you can unlock those doors is with a key. So our summer camp has a key. They've been letting the kids in and out, but until we get the access control hooked up, and they were there today working on it and this week, those bathrooms will not be functional to the public. So we're just waiting on that to get completed. Good question.
Now, and the bathrooms, the old bathrooms, are those open?
The old bathrooms are not open yet. The ones in the middle of the park by Blazer Field are open. We have some long lead times on some of the fixtures in the old restrooms that have been renovated, and those will be, as soon as those fixtures are in, we'll get them in, but everything will be done with that building, paint, flooring, lighting, except for those fixtures. So they probably won't come in until later this month or potentially even next month. It was a 12-week lead time, and we ordered them 8 weeks ago, so we might have another 4 weeks. But unless something happens, they'll definitely be open for City Fest. And we'll get them open as soon as we can.
All right. Anything else? Anybody else? Comments? Jim?
Things that I saw, one of the things that I saw, is it on? No. I'm on now. One of the things I saw driving around over there is that the parking lot, thank you, is the parking lot slopes off pretty rapidly onto that old alley across there. And I wondered if we're going to have problems with the neighbors there filling their garage with water and when we get a heavy rain.
Yeah, we've looked at this a lot, pretty heavily over the last couple weeks. And the way it works is the alley hasn't changed. So whatever water hit the alley prior to construction and now, we haven't changed the alley. So the south side of that alley actually funnels back down into the parking lot, and the last row of landscape barriers funnel down into a swale. That swale heads to the culvert on the west side, and then is funneled back to the drainage, to the sewer. So there is a natural or a designed swale in the parking lot that carries the water away. Now, if it hits that alley and goes in, that was as it was before. We have not redone the alley. So we're hoping that it doesn't do that or hasn't been any worse. I was out there after last week's rain. I didn't see any 2-3 inch puddles. I saw the normal water that was in the middle of the road. But I have heard today that the residents did say that it did flood. I was not able to talk to that resident if it was worse, better, or the same.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Public? Go ahead.
That parking lot that's going to connect at the sports park with the one we just put in, are we planning to connect that to Porter, or is it going to be one exit out, or is that still to be determined?
That's a great question. And again, that's a major topic of discussion with the engineer and myself. The issue that I have is that if we don't put some type of lane within the park to slow the traffic down to allow them to make that turn, I worry that those walkers are going to get hit. And we have the same problem on the Veneta side. Anybody who's turning a left into the park and a car is going north and someone's walking across is a recipe for disaster. So we're looking at how we're going to redesign it to get those residents or those park users away from that entrance, or be able to give the traffic some place to pull off and slow down before they make the right-hand turn. And so that's part of the studying we're doing right now with that. So it's in engineering, and I know that's maybe a longer answer than what you wanted, but that's essentially what we're looking at, is how are we going to protect the walkers and not make any problems worse.
Public safety involved in that conversation?
Oh, they will be once we get the engineering done, and Jeff and I will talk about it, and we have to figure out how to get the traffic off. We did some preliminary designs. The engineer today showed me how we can get them off. Might have to relocate that trail, and it might be one of these things where if we want to do that, we might have to look at the budget and say, this is going to cost us an extra $50,000, and then it'll be back onto you guys to say, do you want to do that or not? But those are some of my concerns.
Vermillion, Ward 3. I just have a question on this here, your budget for the pool. So you're telling me all the way through this, completed out, you haven't had a change order on it?
Yeah, so if you look at the contingency or the supplemental contingencies, those are typically what the change orders would have come through.
The what, please?
I'm sorry, the contingency or supplemental contingencies, that's where we would have had the change orders from.
Okay, so those are your change orders?
Yes.
And those,
I mean, it's a very short answer to a very complex question, but essentially those are where the change orders comes from.
so if I would ask the question through a folio ad, how many change orders you've had and what the amounts were, I could get the answer to that question?
Oh yeah, it's all in the construction documents. We would just have to pull it.
Okay.
But it's going to be on or about that amount.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a somewhat complex question, but. And you don't have to do a change order. Just if you want it, just let me know and I can pull them for. I'm sorry, you don't have to do a FOIA request if you don't want it. I'm happy to give it to you.
All right, with that, and no further comments? Okay, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
I did. Not too bad. I dragged out most of it.
was, like I said, I just opened my personal account. It's an eye opener. It really is. Put the other out because I didn't realize there was that whole set of taxing districts out there. I know some of them are with fire or things like that. Yeah, all a little bit. Because they had to go down to page like 170 something to get help out. Like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get there. Yeah, that was, yeah, it was interesting. Probably not. I know. So much for means testing. They always talk about that and doing everything. No good deed goes unpunished. Yeah, I won't see you next Monday, but I'll be back for the next, oh, I'm sure. I hope it's good. All right, thanks.
The clock has struck 6 o'clock. Hello and welcome to Community Development Committee. For our regular attendees, you may notice we have new committee assignments starting tonight. I'm Jessica Lotz. I'm your representative from Ward 2. I'm also the chairman for this committee. Leading us, we have several staff members. We've got our Director of Community Development, Greg Anderson. We've got Assistant City Administrator, Grant Lidekin, and we've got City Administrator Walter Dedden on the dais leading us. Looking over the agenda, we have a couple items that we'll vote on, and then we have one that's for discussion but will not need any action tonight. Just as a notice, any votes taken tonight are advisory only, regardless of what the committee decides. Everything moves on to full council. Anyone wishing to make comments will have several opportunities to do so. After each agenda item is presented, I'll ask the committee for comments, then the council for comments, and then open it up to the public. There's also an opportunity at the end of the meeting for people to make public comments about stuff that's on the agenda or stuff that's not. Public comments are welcomed, and anyone speaking has 5 minutes to tell us whatever they'd like. Please state your name, and if you are a resident, please address comments to the council and not to individual staff members or members of the public. And our goal is to answer questions that are asked, but even though we have really knowledgeable staff, sometimes questions asked are not things that we have the answer to immediately, so we will take note of that and get back with you. We also have a new agenda item tonight. So once a month, we're going to report on updates from projects that have already been approved by the council. So historically, we approve an item and then we might not hear about it after that. And so tonight we are going to, once a month, start presenting updates on some of those items that have already been approved. So with that, we will get started with a roll call. Greg?
Lots.
Here.
Roach. Here. Rosenberg.
Present?
Parchman. Here. Mylart. Here. Campbell.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, we have quorum. The first agenda item is approval of the minutes from the May 27th meeting. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the minutes? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All righty, so we will start with item 2.1, which is a second reading. So for those who might not be familiar, second readings are items that have already gone through this committee, and then they went to full council and passed, but our ordinance requires that they come back to the committee and then go back to full council for a second time. So this item 2.1 is an example of one of those. Is there any questions or discussions on this agenda item? Nope. All right, we'll move ahead to 2.2. Greg?
Thank you. 2.2 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an estoppel certificate for the property located at 1103 Central Park Drive. First, I'd like to provide some background information. This property is, the city had previously entered into a redevelopment agreement with O'Fallon Investment Partners, LLC in 2019. Total Access Urgent Care located at 1103 Central Park within the shops at Richland Creek was included in this agreement. The redevelopment agreement called for the project to start construction within 1 year of execution of the agreement, and within 3 years, there needed to be substantial completion of the redevelopment agreement. This property is now in the process of being acquired by George F. Saunders Enterprises, Inc., and the property owner currently is Total Access Urgent Care out of Brentwood, Missouri. The estoppel certificate just affirms that there are no outstanding obligations or defaults for the property under the current redevelopment agreement. This certificate has been reviewed by the city attorney and recommended for signature, and approval of this resolution will authorize the mayor to execute their certificate on behalf of the city, just telling the buyer that there are no obligations under the current redevelopment agreement for this property when they do take possession of it.
Thank you for that. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion from the council? Council? Public? Yes.
Ron Zelms, Ward 6. I guess I didn't realize, and maybe you can clarify, the shops at Richland Creek, is each individual building its own, owned by each individual owner, or is just this one corner lot that's separate from the rest of it? I assumed it was all the developer property. I didn't realize it was individual.
Yes, sir. Every parcel it's subdivided, and every parcel besides the strip mall is one parcel, and every property has a different property owner at this point in time.
You're welcome.
Vernor, Ward 3. I just can't imagine where this piece of property is. I mean, you generally show a picture of the property in retrospect of where it's located at in the city. Where's this piece of property at?
It's located at 1103 Central
I
Park
know.
Drive. Yes, I'm continuing, sir. It's located in the shops at Richland Creek, which is owned by, it was done by GBT Realty. It's at Central Park Drive and Greenmount Road. The development was approved by City Council in 2019. It is home to Wingstop, Five Guys, No Leash Unneeded, Club Car Wash, Dunkin' Donuts, Burger
Across from
King.
Deerbirds.
Across from where?
Across from Deerbirds.
South of the Outback.
Oh, okay, that piece of property there.
Yes, yep. And Total Access Urgent Care is right on the corner of Central Park Drive and Greenmount.
Okay, so you're talking about the whole piece of property that's going through?
No, this is just Total Access Urgent Care on the corner, just that
Okay,
property.
Okay, I understand now, thank you.
Any other public comments? All right. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Delisa Richardson, Ward 4. Will there be a change in ownership as far as the urgent care? Is that still going to be at that location, or are they
At this time, the new property owner has not indicated if there would be a change of use. We've been asked if urgent care or medical facilities are an allowable use per the redevelopment agreement, which they are as it exists today, but they have not indicated a change in use at this time.
Because it's new, correct?
Very new.
Recently opened, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other comments? All right, we'll do roll call.
Roach,
Yes.
Rosenberg,
Affirmative.
Parchman,
Yes.
Mylart,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Lots.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the last item requiring council action, 2.3.
Thank you. This is a resolution approving the preliminary plat for the subdivision known as Bethel Grove. As you may recall, this was approved by City Council last Monday through a planned use, and the preliminary plat was on that ordinance and that agenda item. However, for technicalities, it does require a resolution approved by City Council to accept the preliminary plat. As shown, there have been no changes to it. This is the same preliminary plat that was approved in the planned use. There are 53 lots zoned SR1P, and there are 5 outlots. One is for a subdivision sign located along Bethel Road. Outlot B is an existing wet pond, a proposed retention pond. The developer is adding a new detention area on Outlot C. Outlot D is an existing wet pond detention area, and Outlot E is a drive for the existing residential homes.
Roger that. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion from the committee? Council? Public? All
And if
right.
I may, Chair. So you'll see these preliminary plats, and I'm just doing this we don't do residential subdivisions that often. So the preliminary plat is part of the zoning designation. In the future, once the public improvements are put in place and they're checked by our engineering staff and approved in said condition or good condition, then a final plat is brought back to the City Council for approval. Once that receives approval, then they can record that with the county and they can begin to sell those lots and build on them.
Thank you for that context. All right. Vote?
Rosenberg,
Affirmative.
Parchman,
Yes.
Mylart,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Lots.
Yes.
Roach.
Yes.
All righty. Those are all of the items requiring council action, so we'll move on to other business where we have some updates from projects that have previously been approved. Greg?
Thank you. And as stated by Chair Lots, this will be a regular update that we will provide at the first community development meeting of every month. First, I want to go over some general statistics from the department. 99 building permits were issued in May of 2025. Construction for these permits alone is valued at $6.7 million. This did include 16 new multifamily units in Lake St. Ellen, which Lake St. Ellen was previously approved through a planned use by City Council. Our department did 280 occupancy inspections in May. This does include re-inspections. We did 693 building inspections through May 2025, so that is throughout the entire year. And then also throughout the entire year, we did 1,168 code enforcement actions to date, and it takes about an average of 20 days to abate a complaint once that does come in and it is assigned to a code enforcement officer. Next, would like to just provide an update for Park Place development, which was approved by City Council in April. Sales contracts for the property have been signed by the city and by our petitioner or the applicant who was approved, which is Pure Property Group. The second site plan review for the preliminary site plan for overall Park Place was completed by staff. It was sent back to the engineering firm, which is TWM, and they actually did send back their third revisions today, so we will be completing a third review on the plans here shortly. And the traffic study has been updated, and it has been sent to the Illinois Department of Transportation for them to take a look at that. Would like to also provide an update on the former Auto Mall, the way that it exists today and through plans that have been approved. There are 3 buildings that remain vacant. The announced tenants do include Goodwill at 106 Auto Court, which is currently open to the public, Equipment Share at 117 Auto Court. This is a construction equipment rental company. They are anticipated to open at some point this month. Ridgeline Motors is auto sales, not auto sales, but auto part sales located at 129 Auto Court. They are currently open to the public. Aloha Pools did purchase 2 properties in the former auto mall. That's 187 and 141 Auto Court. This use did not require zoning approval by the city council. These 2 properties are zoned B2, while the other properties in the former auto mall are zoned B1. So their use did not require approval by city council. Their anticipated opening is July 2025. If you do drive by, you will see that there is some equipment out in the parking lot. We are working very diligently with the property owner to make sure that we get a site plan and approve their setup and their fencing before they do open to the public. So that is a work in progress. Also, Q Storage is located at 1690 New Car Drive. This use was approved by City Council on June 2nd, 2025, and staff has currently done a completed 1 preliminary site plan review, and that has been sent back to the petitioner for the revisions. Artisan Gardens, this is the multifamily commercial development located along Central Park. Construction has started on the clubhouse, Building 1 and Building 2, which are the multifamily apartment buildings. You'll also see some garages that have gone up out there as well. Multiple inspections have been completed by the department as construction progresses. In particular, that would be the framing inspections. Contractors are currently scheduling work to complete the turn lane along Central Park Drive. They're working with Ameren to do some relocations of utilities out there. Next, we have the West O'Fallon Residential Facade Grant. 5 grants were awarded to residents in West O'Fallon in February 2025. This is our only residential facade program that we have with the city right now. It does award $10,000 to property owners for their residential facade work. $9,000 is a grant award. The $1,000 is paid by the participant. Once the work is completed, a check is issued to the contractor for the work that has been done. All the work has commenced on all of the homes. 2 have been completed, and I would just like to show some pictures of those. The first is 111 Belt Avenue. The before picture is located on the left, and the after picture is on the right with the blue siding. This was done to replace broken and aged siding. Next, we have 118 Booster Road. This was also to replace broken siding and broken gutters on the property. They also removed a tree in the front yard. So we will continue to share updates as we follow along on the last 3 residential properties for that grant program. Last update is the next Planning Commission meeting is June 24th, 2025 at 6:00 p.m. These 2 planned use applications will be reviewed by the Planning Commission, and they will ultimately come to the Community Development Committee and City Council for review and approval. First is Full Circle Auto Services right down the street at 510 South Lincoln Avenue. The applicant is seeking approval to amend the existing planned use for a building addition in the back half of the property to do work on as cars progress. He has a need for work on technology like the sensors that you have on cars, so he's looking to expand his services. He has indicated that a majority of his customers are required to go across the river to Missouri for these types of services, and he would like to offer them in-house to capture that business. Also, he will be doing pavement of the parking lot and facade work. In addition, we'll be reviewing Old Collinsville Road. This is a commercial building. The applicant is seeking approval to rezone a parcel that was identified as a proposed commercial lot on the Lake St. Ellen Phase 2 preliminary plat, which was previously approved by council. This plan use would allow for the construction of a new 6,640 square foot retail office building, and it will also need to be rezoned to B1 commercial as well. And that's all I have. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
First question, while it's in my mind, that Old Collinsville Road commercial building, is there an address, or where exactly is it?
This does not have an assigned address right now. When you're on Old Collinsville Road driving north to Lake St. Ellen, it is north of the existing locksmith building.
Okay.
That is on Old Collinsville. It's the parcel directly to the north that's vacant.
Got it. The traffic study for Park Place that's been set to IDOT, can we get a copy of that?
I believe that's public information.
Yeah, it's public information. We'll provide that
Okay,
this week.
thank you. And just out of curiosity, the old Offenburg buildings, is it still with the same owner? All these people are leasing, or did any of them buy?
Majority of these are purchased. Yep, and the
Because
old,
before, he didn't want to.
correct, I think that was a large part of the holdup on backfilling them, was they were a REIT that concentrated on car sales dealerships, and, you know, there is a competition clause in car sales with competing titles, and you can't have 2 Ford dealerships in the same mileage. That strategy has changed. We have met with Cars, which is the REIT, and they are open to selling and backfilling. I would say they are a encouraging seller now.
Thank you.
Good questions. Anything else from the committee? Any questions from the council on this? Public? Ron?
Ron Zelms, Ward 6. Thanks for doing this. I've been liking to see something like this for a long time. I had 2 questions. One of them's already been answered about St. Clair Auto Mall, because I always thought, too, that was one big development that somebody owned was leasing. So I think that's great that they're kind of willing to break that up. The other question I had, I think was on one of the first slides about the number of permits. Yeah, that's it. 99 building permits were issued, a construction value of $6 million. The quick math on that says that's only $67,000 per build. And I'm just trying to figure out if that's correct or not. I mean, when I divide 100 into 6.7 million, I get 67,000. Is that including housing, retail? It just seems low.
It's housing, it's pool permits, it's electrical work, it's
okay,
signage,
so
so
it's-
it's not just building
not
per se.
structural permits.
Correct. It's
Thanks.
big and little.
Got it.
Good questions. Awesome.
Yes, that also includes solar permits, which are very popular right now.
Very popular.
Great. All right. Well, thank you
Not
to.
that we're promoting.
Thank you, Greg, for these updates. For every 10 projects you see here, there's 30, 40 more that are constantly being worked and updated. So between that and the almost 1,200 code enforcements, they stay very busy. So, all right, with no other, any other public comments before we close out the meeting? Yes, sir.
So
Jerry Albrecht, Ward 2. First of all, this update thing was great. Is it available easily to the public without some going to 42 places on the website?
So it's on the board docs for today under item 3.1.
Okay.
Yep.
But it'll be on the, available to the public, because the most common question I
Yeah,
used to get is,
it's already available to the public.
what happened to, or what's going on at?
Yeah.
The other one is this going to affect that place on the website where you can show all the developments? You click on it, gives you all the information. You'll update that?
Yeah, so it's
Yes,
in
we
the,
are.
yeah, it's in the
Great.
process of being updated now.
Great,
Thank you.
you.
He's referring, we have a GIS story map where you can pull it up, click on a development, and it'll zone in and give you all the details about that, so. Any other questions? Yes.
Vern Moore, Ward 3. Appreciate the information that you're giving in this regard. I know this is not connected with community development, but we don't have a public safety meeting. We haven't had a public safety meeting in a couple times, and I just don't know why. But my question is, I brought this up about the lights down at the ice cream place. Now I have another one. In regards to the striping of the streets in the city of O'Fallon, I think it might be a good idea. Maybe you could stripe the streets so people could see where the lines are, because you can't tell them at night, and especially if it's raining, it's real difficult to see that division between one lane and the other. Just my thought in that regard. And then my other question is a introductory question to the Finance Committee that's going to come up in 2 weeks. A month ago, I believe, when the ex-mayor gave his meeting of the town here, he made mention of him and working with Sandy to work out a deal on the veterans exemption and how they were going to get some money back for that. And I was just wanting to know the status of that at the next finance meeting in that regard. That's all my question, to lay it out there for the finance meeting. Thank you.
Sure. I can answer the veterans exemption. It is not currently budgeted for this current year. So it was a pilot program. The state funded it for 1 year, and they have not and are not indicating they're going to fund it in the future.
That's not what I'm asking.
Are you talking about, it was something that the former mayor talked about with Sandy, that they may have found something.
Whatever.
Are you okay talking to it?
Yes, so after some investigation and some preliminary looking at what was presented, at this point, there's nothing that we're going to give back. There's no finding at this point. There's a lot of moving parts. There's nothing at this point that we're going to show that we can provide any relief to taxpayers over the disabled vets.
Okay, so should I just ask the question several months down the road and see how it's going along from you, and that'd be cool?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay, cool. Just thank you much for that.
Well, and to clarify, it was dealing with the township multiplier and whether the disabled veterans exemption affected the township multiplier and whether there was some relief that could be made by determining who purchased it. But after talking to the county and the state, we don't believe that there's a way to differentiate. So we do not believe there will be any relief through that.
Noted. All righty, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.